This is a unique moment where heritage can be fun. You can meet Cleopatra and have lunch with her if you want. You can have other things as well, but let's say lunch for now.
Welcome to Desk Show, the podcast where we do our absolute best to explain what it really means to be part of the creative industry. If you are watching this and not only hearing this, you might be noticing two things. The first one is that we are once again being hosted by IED Milano. We are inside the legendary S10 classroom where all the big lectures take place. We are by ourselves, but I can guarantee you there's an audience in front of us. So if there's an audience, please let us hear it. Just like, woo! And the second thing that you might have noticed is that either I'm a different host this time, or I am Luca Fontò with a blonde wig. Luca Fontò is, of course, the usual Desk Show host. But I don't have a wig today, I don't think so. I do have a hat, which might be hiding my wig. And that leaves me with, hello everybody, my name is Giancarlo Banchi. I'm your English host for today, and I am a IED alumni, which means I'm a former IED student. I graduated here, when I mean here in this room, in 2019, and since then, I really never left IED behind. We are once again playing in the big leagues. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the theme of this amazing conversation we're gonna have is Heritage Reloaded. We will be talking about what we can do as brands or as individuals in order to do our best in using the latest innovations to preserve what matters most. Values, stories, and integration grounded in true meaning. I can guarantee you there's few people better to talk about this than Danilo Venturi, director of IED Milano and author of the book Brand Persona. Esperia Iliadu, award-winning curator and museum consultant and IED teacher at Florence for special curatorial projects. Umberto Sannino, director of IED Moda Milano and some other interesting stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute. And of course, Gabriele Chiave, multidisciplinary designer, I should say IED alumni chapter leader for Europe, and of course, founder and creative director of Controvento. So we have a lot to unravel, but I would love to start with you, Umberto, director of IED Moda, fashion designer, stylist, traveler, mind consultant, part-time hero, and problem solver. Umberto, you have the coolest Instagram biography I've ever read, and you know that. But I forget the fashion designer, the stylist, and the traveler part, but would you mind to let us know a bit more about the mind consultant, the part-time hero, and the problem solver?
Actually, thanks for this introduction. I honestly really think that it's really important to be somehow a problem solver and a troublemaker at the same time. This is something that is really connected to who you are, not just who you are, for your work. I really like to think that you can make everything on discussion. You can imagine to kind of construct, destroy, and reconstruct again. This is something that is really important generally for any topic, and even when you have a relationship with someone. So in an environment, a work environment, or not only. So I think it's really important to be very kind of curious. So that's why I imagine to be represented with this bio. Also, for me, it's kind of interesting to just open a small thing about what is a bio, how the bio is really representing us, and how also in a media we are represented by our bio as well. So actually, let's say I really like to imagine that it's good to make troubles and then to solve them and then make troubles again and over and over.
Tim Rockets used to say, prepare for trouble, make it double. And the reason why we're making it double is because after, of course, Umberto, director of IED Moda, let's go with Danilo. Danilo, we do need to address the fact that you are the director of IED Milano, which means not only this venue, but all the venues across Milan. There's a powerful concept that you're bringing to the table this year, a powerful concept that you have personally introduced to me and to everybody in this panel. I think it's going to be one of the core values that IED is going to follow this year. And this concept is the concept of plural intelligence. I would love to know if you will mind expand on this. I think it will be maybe one of the first times of the year where it will be explained to the public.
Well, first off, I would like to say that Umberto is a troublemaker. More so, I'm joking, obviously. Better that way, you know? Better having problems with creative people than having nothingness in the everyday management. That doesn't make sense. The concept is very simple, and it comes from the questions that every time we meet journalists, we are posed every time. The question is, what do you think about, this is the voice they have, what do you think about AI, artificial intelligence? And my answer is always, first, we should think to the natural intelligence. Do we have enough of it, or we don't? Actually, the answer is we already have artificial intelligence in our programs. We already use it. But then it depends how we use it. And I think that artificial intelligence is interesting if you match it with natural one. And when we say natural, we have the human intelligence. And when we say human intelligence, we mean logical kind of intelligence. But we don't only have that. We also have another layer of intelligence that is hidden and more primitive in our brain, and it's more instinctive, most likely coming from a previous step of our evolution, I don't know. But it's also that kind of intelligence that make you come up with an idea or with a disruptive project and an intuition, let's say. And then we have the intelligence of nature. So when we look at nature, I mean, nature is never failing. The only time nature failed is when nature created the human, which is a very strange animal, right? So if we put all this intelligence together, we have something interesting. If we just consider one against the other one, I don't think so.
Why would you say this is this year's one of the core values for all your students? What you, as a student or as a former student, strive to achieve, knowing this concept?
Well, this also comes from the analysis of the industry. And so I think the creative industry, especially, I come from fashion, so I know it very well, but you know, fashion has nearby industries, so they're all related. I can say that we had years or even decades without any novelty, without any innovation. I mean substantial innovation, which can be the jacket of Armani in the late 70s, which can be the deformation of the body of Rei Kawakubo in the 90s, which can be, I don't know, like the black and the materials that Chanel used to introduce between the two wars, like this kind of innovations. We had nothing, absolutely nothing, you know? So somehow we need to come up with new ideas, and the spirits of a time cannot just rely on the single human having an idea and becoming the hero for everyone. I think that's not the time for this. I think it's more time for collaboration, for example, and this is a key value. Competition is not the key for innovation any longer. And then, as we are not God, so we cannot create from nothing, ex nihilo would be, then we can create by mixing things. And I think you can mix if you have a transdisciplinary approach. So if you take something that comes from a genre and you put it into another, and then you come up with a monster, like with something that is above the line for a moment, that maybe is also provoking a refusal, but then becomes the dominant idea after a while.
Let's look for innovation, let's look for change, let's look for inspiration. Gabriele, you like to define yourself as a creative explorer. And I like to think you as an Indiana Jones that goes around Fuori Salone or Lisbon's Design Week looking for the next beautiful thing to take inspiration from. You like this term, and they wanted to know what it means for you.
Creative explorer is, is that, by the way, I'm happy to be here after 25 years as ex-alumni when we had 25 years, not
Ex-alumni.
2000, yeah, a little bit more. So thanks for having me. Explorer is because that's how life was brought to me, because, by the way, by my parents. My dad is there. Normally my dad doesn't follow me and talks, but it happens to be in Milano, so he's here. So anyway, I was brought up traveling the world all my life since I was born, and therefore that experience already was pretty important to me. Exploring culture, exploring territories. Your map is not the territory, and that's for me a fundamental topic that is very important in my life and in my profession. Explorer because as a multidisciplinary designer, I've been through so many industries, so many different, topics of design or project that makes the richness of who I am and how I do projects. So I like to explore things. It's like comparing yourself to a kid of 5 years old. That's the beauty of being creative. That's the beauty of disrupting, of stepping out of the boundaries, of being out of the boxes. Just don't give things for granted. Be curious. And a little kid explores life, explores the world as it comes to the world, and discovers. It makes the things he thinks the best is how to do them. That's how I take things, and how to take each new project comes to me. So yeah, I love to be explorer. Maybe Indiana Jones is a bit too far-fetched with that hat and the thing, but yeah, that's.
It could be a trademark for you.
Well,
I
see it that way. That's
the Design Week is coming, so I could see it as a trademark. So, Esperia, you work at the intersection of museology, expedition techniques, and socially engaged art across the Mediterranean. A good example of, your intersection is your work at 2019's Biennale di Venezia, where you took care of Malta's pavilion. And all of this was, of course, made before all the cool technologies and AI stuff, because in 2019, we did not have all the advancements we had today. But I was wondering, if you were to go back and relive the same days where you curated Biennale, how would you think new innovations, new technologies would have helped you in doing your work? And how would you think I will help other curators?
So thank you for that. And I'm also very happy and honored to be here, and thank you all. I really enjoyed this escalation of beginning and coming here, the troublemaking, the collaboration, the playful. And I would say to you as a new student that I think the quality in what we do is retaining that playfulness, like being still children inside, that curiosity that grows and grows. And new technologies help us so much to continue playing and being curious about everything. And I think through that, you can give your mark, you can change things and build a future that will be so different from what we have seen before. So I always consider myself a storyteller from when I was a young little girl, and that's what I did for Malta. And I will be doing it again because I'm curating a new pavilion this year for this edition of the Venice Art Biennale. So again,
congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank
Congratulations.
You. Thank you. So what would I do? For storytelling, new technologies allow you to present so many different stories at the same time. Until now, we were writing stories. I come from an academic background, so art history, which was so boring. So you write these articles, you research them. I'm not talking about the people in this room, okay? So you get to publish things, and who reads it? 5 people, 6, 10. But with new technologies, you can actually share that. You can make it more fun. You can make it more engaging. You can draw people within that story, make them be a part. You can meet Cleopatra and have lunch with her if you want. You can have other things as well, but let's say lunch for now.
Dinner,
so
maybe.
You can have so much fun with that. And this is a unique moment where heritage can be fun. We can take all those dusty stories that are in archives and bring them out there for everybody to live within them. And we can do that because new technologies, AI, allows us to present that story to a young child at school, to a child that has even difficulties connecting, But AI allows us to bring that child, to bring that introvert adult that is all alone in a room. We can bring them out, we can share our stories, and we can involve them and engage them.
Are you going to be using some new tools? Do you have some new tools in mind for now, or is it too soon to say for your next curatorial project?
Okay. So I think you should come at the Venice Art Biennale and see.
That
Will
is,
that be
that is the
okay?
most clever answer you could have given.
So you're all invited. Keep in touch, and I'll see you in Venice in May.
Gabriele, some time ago I stumbled upon a very deep interview of yours where you described yourself, in the beginning as a gray ship, not black, not white.
Again, that question.
So what does this mean for you, for all of us?
I'll just answer that quickly, but I will quickly want to connect what he said before, because I think it's very important about intelligences and diversity, because of course humankind has so many different intelligences. There is the music, the scientific intelligence, there are diversity. And then of course we have IQ and EQ, as we know today. Emotional intelligence became much more relevant in the last years as the intelligence that relates to people, that has empathy, that makes people lead team, that understand emotions. What I would like to really underline, to me very important, and since we're in the design school, is the emotional creative intelligence that I want to add. Because design schools and design has always been, since years, been told that it is function, that forms all functions, and so on. But we tend to forget the function of our soul, of our heart. A human person is made by rational and irrational. We responded too many times to the rational, to the mind. We're tending to forget, and now less and less, of course, thanks God, but also maybe in the design part, in how we think about people we design for, how to connect to the heart, how to connect with our soul, how to make relevance towards that part of our humankind that for me is essential to make pieces which will beat the test of time. So emotional creative intelligence, how you do that, and that's where we go to heritage, because I think that if we celebrate heritage, if we're storytellers, if we do culture innovation, if we celebrate craftsmanship, those things will make your work relevant into the emotional side of humankind. I think is very important, because what we discussed last time, I think is very essential. EQ as human people, but also as creative, how we infuse that desirability of making objects that we will love. I mean, if your house burned down, you're not gonna save your vacuum cleaner, you're gonna maybe save your little box of your grandmother, because you love it so much. It's not functional, it's emotional. So that's then the great...
It's very interesting what you're saying, but we'll go back right now into the gray ship.
The gray ship is because I'm getting old and some silver hair coming around.
Is that a reason?
No,
There's not a reason. No, but the thing is that you've traveled a lot as well, okay? And I know that you've, in talking about heritage in itself, apart from, everything that is in regard to intelligence, you've visited the world a lot, and you've saw, because me and him, we have something in common. We have lived in Venezuela, okay, for some time. So all of us?
Well, me and my father too.
Oh, your father? Oh, we have lived in Venezuela. Vivimos ahí. We've lived there, and they know that was a very. You were talking about emotional intelligence. It was a very strong time for you, because you've managed to meet a lot of people that made you grow as a person and also as a creative. Would you mind expand on that?
It's part of the gray zone. I like to be in a gray zone. I like to be a generalist. I like to learn from the best and then interpret what I learned from the best specific people, which are specialists. In terms of growing, I mean, I had an enormously luck. It was not my choice to born in such a family that allowed me again to understand, after several years of going through different, path of difficultness and so on, to understand again that the territory is not your map. You create your own map of the world, and what that means, that doesn't mean that the territory is your map, which means that you start to understand, to be much more open-minded. It helps a lot to do innovation, because innovation is always a constant question, back and forth, question what has been done, what you have been doing, and putting it at stake like maybe it's not the way. So, and that also helped the fact of understanding the amount of culture, the different ways of doing things, the different way cultures are just made in all kind of levels. So, and then maybe we'll come back to what that means in innovation and heritage itself that we spoke before about. So I was lucky enough to be open-minded. And I think when it comes then to projects which are very complex nowadays on a global scale or in a type of different client or type of work or specific. You are much more open to navigate that gray area, and the gray part comes to compromises, which is also the beauty of doing project, because compromises are challenges that you have to overcome in order to get to that point which is perfect for everyone, for you, for the people you're speaking to, for your client, etc. So that gray zone is the fact of being able to connect the right dots in the right moment and in the right space.
I loved it. I loved it. That is an amazing explanation in part of when I first heard you say it. So Danilo, let's turn this gray zone, let's turn this gray ship, let's turn it dark. White rabbit, black sheep, white pig. Danilo, this is the last of the 4 steps mentioned in your book, Brand Persona, that we've been mentioning in the beginning. And where you describe how to envision your dynamic positioning on a semiotic map to communicate and sell in a state of non-competition. Inside this book, you have a lot of interesting case studies, but would you mind sharing one that really stands out for you personally?
I could say Gucci.
You could say Gucci.
I could say Gucci. At that time when I wrote the book, I was very close to Gucci. In fact, the introduction of the book.
He wrote it.
It was written by Mr. Bizzarri.
Yes.
I will not talk about the business model of Gucci at that time, but what really, really interested me about that experience was the depth of the research they had in design. So the heavy use of symbols that are coming from different aspects of our life and even our afterlife or pre-life, or the research that doesn't stop to the concept of past or present or future. And for that reason, I found it very contemporary. Because contemporary is not today. Contemporary is what is almost today and a bit after, I think the future and the past in our mind basically work in the same way. Because when you think at the past, what is the past is a series of relics of what has been left from the past. And around these, elements, we create a story. But actually, we are not even sure that that is the story, the real one. That is just a story. That when it becomes dominant, we call history. And the future works in the same way. I mean, you see elements that could predict the future, that are coming before the future. And around those elements, you create something in your head that is basically a story again. So the research, if you think at the research in a way of displaying through symbols of the human what never happened, or a future that never happened, or a past that never had a future, that is innovation, So the innovation of Gucci at that time can be industrial, because they had many industrial innovations at that time. But for me, that was more about semiotics, like the symbols they used to use in their design.
I have to buy that book. I admit it.
You have to.
I have to buy that book. I would just like to read the 4 steps because they are amazing. The names are amazing. The 4 steps inside these books are: smells like teen spirit, fashion is a beautiful chaos, brand is the subconscious, and white rabbit, black sheep, white pig. We don't have to. If you wish, you can go through all of them. But what was going in your mind when you were thinking about these metaphors? Because I really enjoyed them in the way they were explained in the bio.
So beautiful chaos is the idea that what we tend to do in a contemporary world is to create order out of chaos, and that is the worst thing we can do in terms of creativity. Like maintaining the chaos sometimes is painful for those who have to reorganize it after. Yeah. But then what you get in turn is very strong, and it's the only way, in my opinion, to create things. The other, branding the subconscious, is explaining how behind what we give for granted, sometimes like a logo or the emotions that just a name of a brand gives us. I mean, we give everything for granted, but inside all these elements, there are a lot of subconscious participations, involvements, recognitions, something that works behind our knowledge, our awareness, and it works. It's there, and it keeps working. Like, just for example, in retail, the whole effort we do in merchandising to organize products worth the 5% of the decision of buying, because the 95% of that decision is immediate. Like, when you go to a shop and you look at products, you get in love with the product, and then you go around and you try to justify yourself that that product is the best. But you already decided when you saw it. That's a lot of stuff. It's you know, the subconscious works a lot behind the scenes. Smells Like Teen Spirit is basically telling the story of the 90s, how the 90s are relevant in the world we live today, also because our students today are in their 20s, and basically they're our kids. And you need to know in trend forecasting that a generation doesn't give anything to the next one. It's the fathers and mothers that give something to the generation that is coming. Just for saying millennials, I mean, Gen Z is not the extension of millennials. Gen Z are the kids of the Gen X, you know? So this is very important to understand. So if you understand the 90s, you understand many things of the youth today, because they are our kids, you know? And then the last is the black sheep.
Yes.
Yeah, that is very easy. It's the strategy of positioning yourself like the one that makes everything different. Like, if they are all colors, you make black and white. If they are all nice, you make it dirty. If they are,
if they are Gabriele, you make them gray.
Yeah. So that way you basically make the market, if you want to call it so, divided in two, whereas one part is occupied by many and the other part by only one. And then the white rabbit is the idea, the strength of the idea.
Like Alice in Wonderland, White Rabbit?
Yeah, the one that comes
escapes
from your cap.
And then there's a whole book.
Yeah.
You gotta read it.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta
yeah,
read
yeah.
it. So Umberto, before Danilo was talking about the fact that this year, like, we have proof of that, but this year is not about competition. This year, Umberto, you have managed to, in my eyes, revolutionize fashion shows inside. Yeah, the last year's Unfold fashion show was truly one of a kind. If you were there, you would have known. And one where competition was a non-issue, because since every student last year got their chance to say what they wanted to say in 3 looks. So the students could have presented from 1 to 3 looks. And inside of the theater of Yet Moda, the other venue, not this one, of course. And I think it's a beautiful experience. I find myself to be extremely proud of what everyone did there. Every single young creative man has been able to do, and I was wondering how this experience made you feel.
Super proud.
Super
I have
proud.
to say. Just because I think that, first of all, fashion is absolutely a message, is a manifesto. And I think it's really important also to showcase which is the manifesto of the young generations. And I also believe that, you know, challenges are never useful. So how the experience worked. I decided to create a kind of open call to all the students, asking them if they were like interested on showcasing their work. And this for me was like mandatory, you know, like it's a base, because it's really important. You should be aware, and you can decide if you want to showcase with your timings, with your, you know, like feelings. So what happened next? We did an exhibition in our theater, and actually also in the school itself. And it was really interesting, because I saw, and we saw actually, in the final results, a kind of very nice choral approach to fashion. And it was really interesting, to my eyes, personally, to answer your question, to see how, you know, the vision of the students is very cohesive. You know, that space, just to visualize, was a very big space. Our theater is like very huge. And there were like 150 mannequins in different positions. And we were showcasing the work of all the students. So from 1 to 3 to 4 looks, and they were like talking to each other. It wasn't just exhibition, the most important part, but was more the process to me. You know, like when you create an event, you have to work with a team, and that's the best thing. So we have been working as a team also with the students, all in the same line. So this is, I think it's really important to be very equal and to stay together, and also have like the possibility to create a memory. It's not just the event, but it's also the making of. It's the storytelling, as we said before. And also, in this way, we created somehow also a kind of heritage in terms of culture. I think that we naturally are sponges.
Yeah.
So we absorb, what we read, what we see, the person that we meet. And also somehow, as Danilo was saying, you can fall in love with the garment, but also you can fall in love with the person just because of the aura or because of the energy that arrives. And then, in this way, you're able to kind of create a memory, to create culture. And then, the stories that you grab, they are very helpful to become who you are. And what you present also in the artistic field to the people, to the world. So, I'm in a constant kind of dream approach. So I really imagine that, also the school, it's really important to create a new vision, to create a new way of communicating and sharing. And, it's important to see what people think today.
How many mannequins were there?
150.
If 150 mannequins of garments don't scream plural intelligence, I don't know what does. But another question I wanted to ask you, Umberto, and it's regarding your, you definitely have been working together, of course, for the past year. But I was wondering, since you both came from Florence, am I right? You both came from Florence around the same time here in Milano as directors. Have you, this is a curiosity to have as a former alumni and as a current, enjoyer of what IED does. But have you worked in together something before here in Milano? We've been working together.
Actually, we have been working with a massive exhibition in Florence for Pitti, and we've been working with an artist, Michel Comte, and at that time, Danilo thought about me as a guide for the students, and that was a pleasure because also those kind of events are very helpful to create a very nice big sponge. So the students that were there, they were coming from different IEDs from the world and also from different fields. They were all together and they were working in a very professional, artistic way, and most of all, in a very free way. That was an amazing opportunity also to set up a new vision. That was Danilo's vision, that also is a shared vision also for me. And that moment was really very helpful for, creating a nice connection and create new beautiful things. And then, we're here today.
Do you want to add something?
Yeah, basically the other animal the other animal that is in the book is the wild pig.
The wild pig.
The wild pig is exactly what he said. You have the occasion, you students, have the occasion to work together with Michel Comte. She's a great artist before being a photographer or a fashion photographer. And then just do it, wild, do it. Take this occasion, take this possibility that is given to you by the school, by Umberto, by all of us, This is another element that characterizes what we do in IED. It's just take it, do it,
Learn by doing.
Yes, but first you have to have an idea, and then you have to do it.
Yes.
And what you do is the proof of what you think.
Makes sense. Esploriamo. I love how you always have to reach for a microphone. Back in 2023, not a long time ago, I've been listening to a podcast of yours as well. And you've been a guest to a podcast dedicated to curators. And among the many things you've said here in the beginning, you've said that you are not an ordinary case. Because the reason you said that is because you do not come from a arts history background. You come from you started as an architect and an urban planner. So how did these skills help you achieve what you've been achieving right now?
Thank you for that. And I think it actually fits very well in what we are talking about right now. It totally fits with that gray areas. And as a Greek, I would say that for me, the gray area is the in-between. And what, in the philosophy, is called metaxi, which is what we say is that is exactly the moment where everything is possible. And that is what also Danilo, his book, that being different, that doing things in a different way. This is coming together, but being able to actually show who you are. You are different, each one of you. And you can come together in a wonderful show, but each one of you shines through who you are, really. So that is what gave me my strength, and I will go back to the word, heritage reloaded. Students from IED, as I was teaching at IED as well, come to me to write their recommendation letters. And I see all the same things, and because you're all students here, everybody has a diploma. Everybody had done a project or that. But what makes you different? And I think that's what IED does through its classes, because I've worked with other academic institutions around the world. But this is the wonderful thing with IED, because it allows you the liberty to express yourself, to look back into your heritage. You're not actually channeled into one identity. You can actually occupy that gray area. And me coming from architecture and not being the traditional art historian, I think that's where my strength lies, and that's what makes me different. That is the moment where you can actually touch. That is the moment where you can actually create innovation. Because I go a bit in fashion, which is not my thing. You are there, but like you go to London to have a perfect tailored suit. It's mathematics. It's all perfect, it fits. But, you feel good in it. But who is going to remember it? I think giving a mark, making a difference, lies into being different, into stitching it in an awkward way. That difference is what makes you actually put a little stone into innovation, into a future that is different, but also meaningful. And I'll go back to AI. That's my only problem, because the answers you get are perfect, yes? But the beauty lies in imperfection. When you have a lover, where is the part you would like to touch? You will touch the scar. You will touch the imperfection. Because a wonderful statue that is perfect, that is 3D printed, okay, we look at it, but it's boring. Where is that crack? That crack is in the in-between, is being different, is being inspired by wonderful people around you. And at IED, you have that opportunity. And well done, people.
Yes, but yeah, I have a 3D printer, and sometimes you do ask yourself, not where is the crack, is that where is the nice part, because sometimes the prints just go all over. No, but I'm just kidding. I fully understand what you're saying. I have an open question for everybody, whoever wants to jump in first. This is, I'm going to call it a Giancarlo question, because I am surrounded by people that have done a lot in life, and I don't think I have gotten to the point that I can answer this same question. So maybe, Esperia, if you would like to start, and then if anyone else wants to jump in, when would you feel this is the right time in your personal and professional life to start thinking about your heritage? When is the time where you feel you've done in life, then you can start thinking about your legacy? When is enough?
I think from the moment you're born, each step you take leaves a mark behind you. That mark is your heritage. So within each little gesture, be proud of it. Be you, be daring, be courageous. Because each little thing creates that wave. And that wave is what is created behind you. Imagine like swimming. With that movement, every stroke of your arms, create that wave that comes in front of you. But at the same time, it leaves a trace behind you. That's your heritage, and I think at the same time, your heritage creates your future.
Makes sense. I'm looking at you in awe. I'm like, wow.
I don't see heritage as my own heritage. I see heritage now on a broader scale of what we discussed also a few times about what is heritage and how we are building the new heritage. So how we are just looking and stepping on the shoulder of who that did before us, important things, decoding, because what was relevant yesterday is not relevant today, it's not going to be relevant tomorrow. So the decoding of the context of culture and society at a certain moment where they did innovation and created heritage. Today, how you decode that mindset in innovating today to create a future heritage, that comes to the discussion of time. There is a trigger. But innovation, I see it as a human tapestry of a beautiful tapestry that is woven by 1,000 and thousands of threads. All threads are different. Is art, is architecture, is poetry, is design, is music. All those threads are woven into human tapestry. And at certain point, sometimes the tapestry might have a hole or might have less dense threads, because in the Middle Ages there were not so much, and maybe in the Renaissance was really super dense with deckers and so on. And the thing is that I see it's something that is not dead and is still alive. We are nowadays weaving that tapestry. Now we're woven. We have to understand what is being woven before, but as we speak, we are weaving, and all these threads are pouring into what I believe is a beautiful tapestry of humankind, of our culture, and it's an ongoing weave looking at the future. And then the problem, and I think is one of the things that I fear most, is time. Because time nowadays, we don't have time. And heritage cultures are built upon time, are built upon letting people digest and create culture and have those foundations that takes years and centuries in order to create heritage. Nowadays, I see that we are fagocitando. We are really so fast that it's just like create, new, consume, buy, throw, etc., etc. So it's like this weave might be suddenly white with no content, or might be breaking few threads because we don't have time to weave properly what culture needs, which is time, which is reflection, which is... So I think that there is a need to come back to, wait a second, let's pause and let's make that tapestry properly structured in order to, create the future heritage that we are building now.
Should we give a name to this weave?
The weave, the tapestry.
The weavitage.
Oh, the weavertage.
Yeah, I think...
Anyway, I like to see it that way. I like that we're all components and all these threads are coming together. And they all are different, but are very truly important to what was and what will be.
I think it's a beautiful metaphor. As we were talking before the interview, I was asking you if... are we going too quick? Is there time to make... Are we weaving something? Are we weaving too quick? Are we weaving too slow? Do you feel...
No, machines at a certain point can break.
They can break.
I mean, if you weave too fast, threads are breaking in the needles and stuff. So, I'm not saying that, but at a certain point, evolution in humankind also gets into points where big crises, big bubbles, big shit hits a fan. Sorry for that in the camera. But then that's another step of evolution, come le glaciali. I'm not saying that we're coming to. AI might be or might not be. Maybe I will wipe humankind away and there will be a new evolution. But nowadays I fear that the heritage is being maybe blurred away because speed doesn't allow us to create the real true foundation for what humankind and culture needs. Maybe I'm wrong. No. Sometimes I can be a bit pessimistic, but still positive.
I'm positive. We have to. So we're coming a little bit to a closing. Some time ago, Danilo, when we've met for the first time, you asked me a very interesting question. You asked me how I wanted to be remembered. What would I like my legacy to be? And I remember answering you that one of my goals in life will be to be a very inspiring person for at least one person. Of course, I want to inspire people to do good deeds, good things, okay? So I don't want to influence them in a bad way. And maybe I'll even get greedy this year. Maybe I will go up to 10 people. But I'm here with you, beautiful folks, and I wanted to ask the four of you the same question. How would you like to be remembered by all the young creative minds you've crossed in your life?
You know what? At a certain point, I would like to be forgotten. Leave me in peace, Okay. Leave me alone. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I think we are beyond the romantic vision of being remembered, like Ugo Foscolo, for example, this kind of romanticism. We already had Andy Warhol in between, so that romanticism is gone, We are messages, we are advertising, we are people, we are souls. We give also instructions and education to other people who will remember of us forever because you changed their lives. But that's it, I don't see the name on a piece of sculpture or something else. Like, that's not the goal, okay? And then to cross it to the previous question, which I didn't answer.
So the previous question was what you asked me, and now I'm thankful for the question, and I'm asking you this one. So if you wish, you can answer your own question to me, if you wish.
No, I would like to underline one aspect of the things we said before. And when we talk about time, we always talk about space as well. So the two things are strictly related. So when we talk about innovation, for example, we need to be aware of, we need to be ready to go beyond the map we know already. Like if we take the word atopos, which is, in Italian, the map is topografia. The way you define a city and how the city is made is topografia. It's coming from there. The space, how it's organized. But at the same time, atopos is something that is atypical. So again, it's the innovation. And as you can see, what you think in terms of time, and you need time to go and research in the past, in the future, wherever you want, takes a physical aspect and becomes space, and the space you organize. Another side of past and future, again, is... that I'm reading a lot, and I don't know where I read it, but someone wrote that in the past we were living on Mars, and somehow we escaped from there and we came on Earth. That's why we are so different from other animals. And this should be the reason why when we think something of the future, we think about it. So it already happened. So it's already in the past, and that's why it's in the past, because we already have, a collective memory that comes from a previous life in another planet, maybe. So again, past and future as a very, very related one to another one. I don't know if I answered or
You
I
answered
went just
plenty.
offshore. Like
You answered plenty.
Yeah.
Would you like to add something? How would you like to be?
The remembrance.
To be remembered.
To be remembered.
Here.
Right.
Personally, I really like to share, and that means that I feel that I'm living something when I'm able to share and to learn. I would like to explain a bit better. I really love traveling, personally. I think that, travel helps you to understand people, to understand cultures, to see things from a different perspective. Today, more than ever, we are full of informations, and we are a little bit also stuck in our routine. So since I was a little kid, I've been used to do several things. I was going to swim, playing piano, English courses, school, in one day. And I was very lucky, I have to say, because I had the possibility to do a lot of different things and also to meet different people every day. And that was, a kind of blessing for me today, because today I really do different things in one day. And I'm never tired. I mean, sometimes yes, but, I'm always kind of very happy. This is something that I think helps to give to others a type of energy somehow. If you don't get stuck in the routine, you are free. And then there is another point that I think is very connected to, being remembered and so on. Once happened that a few years ago, that my Instagram account got hacked. And I was in panic. It was a weird feeling. I was like, who am I now? Maybe people will forget me on, 5 hours. It wasn't a big issue, obviously. But then, that point for me was very important, because then I projected how today we are represented by, our kind of alter ego that eventually is a digital one, or sometimes is in an analogic way what we do for working, for living. So I declared to myself more than ever that it was really important to be very open, to be who you are and to share, who you are with your good and bad aspects. It's important to be able to create mistakes, to build on that. So in this way, and if you're able to, share this with the world, you are living the best kind of legacy. And it's not a matter of, getting older or, so on. I think it's just a mindset. Creating a lot of experiences, meeting people, trying new foods, new garments, experimenting, like different things. That's crucial. Getting yourself, trained to see things from a different perspective. This is something that I see when I travel. Like, even the way of traveling is changed completely. You create memories today, just, going in a wonderful location, and then you take a picture, and then that's it. It's done. It's, like a kind of checklist. So it's more, like about the experience. So I think it's really important to be as a sponge. You get, the people, the feelings, and then after that naturally comes out to the world. So it's also to be kind of more chilled. I think that's really important. Sometimes it's good to stop and follow the flow. That's I think really important.
So it was such a wonderful answer. So I'm so driven, let's say, to also mirror the thoughts. I think the idea of being remembered puts you in a trap, because it actually makes you think about other people criticizing what you do. So you need to do these things because you need to be remembered in that way. So I go back to what Umberto said, like being a sponge and trying all those different things. You don't need to be remembered in any way. Just be true to yourselves and try all these wonderful things. Me being Greek, and Atopos is Greek as well, so that was such a wonderful thing Danilo mentioned there. In ancient Greek mind, when you died, the first thing you did when you arrived there, you ate the seeds of a melograno. And why? Because you had to forget. You had to forget. It doesn't matter. Just be true to yourselves now and absorb everything around you.
Yeah, that's lovely. And then remembered is, I don't think is a personal question. It's about legacies. It's about, if you have a daughter in that case, as I have, as probably most of you has, is the values you leave behind you, is the traditions, is something that belongs to you. As designer, I think we do a very privileged work. We create experiences and products, and I believe to do so, I hope so. It's little gifts to people, to make their life better, to make a better life in all senses. There are objects that go through generations. My little girl will have what my grandmother will have, and it will go through. That object is meaningful to me. And I love to create stuff that could be remembered through what I'm bringing to our culture. I have a little example, a little story you might know. My father knows for sure. And I was before doing design, I went to do archaeology in Syria, in the Kurdistan, in the desert for like a few months there, lost digging. And I discovered after nights and days in the desert, you dig out, and we dig this room, and there was this beautiful, big, huge amphora vase with all broken but still connected. All deckers, 4,000 years ago, the first time I'm digging, and I was on digging it. I was the mascot of this expedition. And then I saw such a beautiful piece that carried so much energy in terms of the decoration. It has the scratch, so someone did that during the life of this piece. So that piece was so much meaningful, and that's how I then wanted to become designer, to create the new also antiques, to create something that could be meaningful for humankind. Also in a small way, whether it's my daughter having that little box or an archaeologist finding and understanding where we come from through objects and through what we create. So that's, to me, it would be lovely that maybe in 4,000 years' time, someone will dig something meaningful and would say, like, what the heck is this? And what do they do this guy so many years ago? So anyway, so it's not about the person yourself, it's about what you contribute and create to society, or in a larger way, about being that little thread within a million of threads that you might get into that tapestry.
I can confidently say that after this interview, I will for sure remember all of you. And it's not going to happen in 10 years. It's going to happen right now after I finish. Even though I am, as I said before, I am Luca Fontò with a blonde wig, and I should know this already, okay? I got the message from the production, and they told me that we should do some quick and comfortable questions. And they are very, very quick, so very snappy. Starting from Umberto. Learn by tutorial and classes, or learn by doing?
Learning by doing.
What about you, Danilo?
Reading classics.
So you find something in the middle.
Nah, that's a provocation.
No.
Like, you know, yeah, I think we should rediscover first the pleasure of reading, second what our ancestors taught us, and we don't give a damn of what they told. Instead, everything is there already. Like, if you just read that, I think you also can come up with new clothes, new design tools, or whatever you want. You know, it's all there. Like, it's history repeating, maybe in different shapes, in different forms, for different uses, for different purposes, but it's all there. So just read.
Perfect. Espedia?
Learn by making mistakes.
You're on the same
All
page.
that.
So, starting from you now, aim for perfection or just do it.
Not doing mistakes and even more mistakes. I don't like them, eh? I hate them, but you know, they're useful. They're just like, you know, creating your own.
So just do it.
Just do it, yeah. Why not?
Just do it for you too. Freelance work or employee?
Don't ask me that. But I will say both, actually. I mean, it depends who you are, which is your way of working. I mean, I think both could work at the same time. It depends how tired you can get during one day.
Well, I think you need an experience at the expenses of somebody else before getting by your own done. You know, like, you put yourself in your company, in your enterprise, in your ideas, in your challenges to the world after you know something. And that can be acquired by working for somebody else. It's not or, it's and.
It makes perfect sense. I was actually looking for this.
Both have their merits. Like, employee allows you to be daring and think outside the box because you have limits. So you can be daring and do something different. Freelance, maybe it's there where you can inspire other people the most. Like, employee is an introvert situation where, like, you're working within a group within these walls. But freelance, as the word says, you know, you're free to touch other people outside that box, and it gives you that freedom.
I would add a slight kind of thing about employee or entrepreneur, because freelance.
That's
I think this
a
might
third
be
option.
more relevance to say employee or entrepreneur, because those makes I don't think there are people which are made to be employee. They don't want risk. They don't want to be. There are people they will never want to be employee. They want to have risks, and they do their startups and they do their entrepreneurial process. I think I see more that difference. I've always been through the more studio employees. Now I'm having my business. I've been in corporate. Now I'm back to. So I'm seeing the positive and negative aspects for both sides. I think there are people. I'm in the gray area for now. I'm liking to do a bit this and that because both has positive aspects to it. But there are definitely people that are black or white. I'm still in the gray area, also in that matter.
Yeah, it depends a lot on who you are.
Yeah.
I think which are your needs as well. Like there are some people that needs to stay like kind of cozy. So a full-time job maybe is the best for them, or some others are like, you know, like needs to jump up and down. So it depends, and also is like evolving constantly.
But you know what is interesting, very interesting
by day.
nowadays, also in corporation in the States, is the fact that technology, COVID, brought us to an evolution of the 9-to-5 work in one place from 9 to 5. It's not anymore like that. People are not going to go back more than 3 days at work in the corporations because they discover that, yeah, you know what, life maybe is made more meaningful. I can do the same work with technology. So it is transforming enormously also the way of being an employee that is more acceptable maybe than before because you are more free, because you can, you know, and that's, you know, people before they were like, no, I'm never going to go to a bank 5 days a week, 9 to 5. Well, it's a bit more, you know.
Yeah, it's also depending on what is the job.
Yeah, of course.
Sure, and which are the colleagues as well, I have to
Or if
say.
you love, or if you love your job or you don't.
Exactly, too.
So it does look like, after this amazing back and forth, we are at the end of the road here. It has been a beautiful conversation. I really want to thank the four of you. I really want to thank the audience as well. Do we still have an audience? And I want to give a big thanks to Danilo Venturi, Umberto Sannino, Esperi Eliadou, and Gabriele Chiave for being here and inspiring the next. You are inspiring the next generation of designers with this conversation. And of course, I think we're having a little bit of a heritage moment right now. I want to give a special thanks to all of our partners in crime too. I'm talking about Point House for the furnishings, World Brewery for the beer, Punto Mall for the quality video service, and of course, a huge thanks to Yed and to Vanessa, Francesca, Clelia, and Veronica from the IED Alumni team. And last but not least, a huge thanks to eezee for everything. And thank you so much for listening and watching us. Have a good night.
Thank you.